Let's talk Tanya for the 7th of Sivan, the second day of Shavuos. Today we start chapter 1 of Shar Yichud V'Amunah. As we discussed in the introduction, the topic of this section of Tanya is going to be Achdus Hashem, God's unity. And the verse with which the Alter Rebbe begins chapter 1 is a verse from Devarim. V'yadata hayom v'ashevesa alavecha ki Hashem hu elikim b'shamayim mimal v'la'aretz mitachas ein oid. You should know today and take it to your heart that God is God in the heavens above, on the earth below. And here are the key words, ein oid, there is nothing else. There is nothing but God, which is the Chassidic understanding of Achdus Hashem. Not only there is one God, but God is everything. There's only one entity which really exists, which is God. Now, that's easy to say, but what does that mean? How about us? How about me? How about you? How about creation? There seems to be so many things besides for God. How can we say there is nothing but God? So the Alter Rebbe, he cites a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov says there's a pasuk in Tehillim, there's a verse in Tehillim which says, Lo olam Hashem devarcha nitzav b'shamayim, which means, forever, O God, your words, they stand in the heavens. What does that mean? So the Baal Shem Tov explains, we know that God created the world by way of words. We learn in the Mishnah, in Pirkei Avos and Ethics of our Fathers, Ba'asara ma'amaris nivra olam, the world was created with 10 utterances. One of those utterances was Yehi Rakia. God says, let there be the heavens. What the pasuk is telling us is that those words, God, that you uttered, let there be the heavens, till this very day, they stand in the heavens, they are there, and they are what is providing life and existence to the heavens. If those words were to depart the heavens would cease to exist. This is the concept of perpetual creation, the idea that it's not as if God created the world once, some 5,780 something years ago, and ever since the world just continues to exist, but rather at every single moment there is the creative energy of God, which is the Asara Mamaris, those 10 utterances, that exists within all of creation and is what gives creation existence. And this explains that which the Arizal says. The Arizal says, we know that, human beings, we have a soul. Obviously, we're alive. Animals, you could say also, they have a soul. Plants have a soul. But how about rocks? How about earth? The Arizal insists that everything has a soul. But what kind of soul does a rock have? But now we understand what is the soul of the rock? The 10 utterances. Because ultimately, that's what gives it existence. If not for the 10 utterances being uttered by God at every single moment, this stone would revert to nothingness. An analogy you can give is like the code which is behind the computer. You open up your computer, you look at the screen, and you see icons and words and videos and graphics. But there is the code which is behind that. Someone goes and deletes the code, the screen goes empty. Now we don't see the code. We see only the screen with all the images on it. But the reality is, what is it really? It is really the code. This world also has a code. And the code are the Asar Mamaris, the 10 utterances. How does this lead us to a place of understanding that there's nothing but God? We'll get there later on in chapter 3, but this is the beginning of the conversation. We'll conclude with a question, which is, so we're saying that there is the code behind all of the world. And this code is the Asar Mamaris, the 10 utterances. But one second, there are 10 utterances, and there are trillions upon trillions of creations. How do we get from here to there? If there are only 10 utterances, there should be 10 creations because there's the code for 10 things. And the answer to that question, we will address, God willing, in tomorrow's Let's Talk Tanya.